Okay, hi team, it's Rach and we are here today doing a live Q&A with Christine Sheehy from christinesheehy.co, and we are all about copy this month in the VIP group, and it is great because copy is so important and I am such a big copy fan, and to get some feedback from Christine on your website is just golden, because I think if nothing else it will let you help you realise how much having good copy will make a difference to how many sales you make, basically. And at the end of the day, that's what we all want to do. So copy is important. I love it. Thank you to the people that put their names forward to have their websites scrutinised. And as Christine has just said, it is tricky. I mean, it can be difficult to put what you have put a lot of time and effort into up for public scrutiny. So this is about kindly making suggestions that will improve things, not picking apart how well you've done something. And it's just recognising that we are all DIYing this, and we are none of us copy experts except for Christine. So every single website, and even Christine will say even her own website needs constant review and adjustment, and it is a living document. So these things change and we can only get better. So thanks a lot for coming along, everyone. Thank you so much, Christine. We look forward to kicking into it.
Thank you very much, Rachel, and everybody else for coming along today, and especially to Carolyn and Jenny and Rosa for putting their websites up. So what I'm going to do today is take you through their 3 about pages. They've got very different businesses. We've got one who's a sort of a consultant working in the business space, one who makes handmade products, and then the other who's offering a subscription service for chocolates. So they're really different, but what I want to show you is different ways that they can introduce themselves and start to build that relationship with the customer through the about page. And so we'll go through each one in turn. There's a couple of things I just want to remind you of, which we probably went over in the copy boot camp. Can't remember exactly what we said now, but about what your about page is really all about. So your about page, I always say, is not really about you. It's about how you help your customer. So when I take you through these pages, that's what I'll be looking for, is how you're showing your customer how you can help them through your about page, if that makes sense. So it's important to remember that people don't always come to your website by typing in the www and going straight to the homepage. They might come from a Facebook ad, they might come from a blog, somebody might refer them to your particular service or product that you offer, and then they're likely to dig down and think, who's this person? What's this business all about? Do I want to give them my money? Do I want to shop with them? And that's when they'll go to the about page. So it's a really important page. They're not always going to have seen that homepage before they get there. So that's why giving that context and letting people know what you're all about is really important on that page. And every page on your website has a specific purpose. And with this page, it's letting them get to know you, like you, and trust you. So just keep that in mind. So if we're all good, I'll take you through. Carolyn, I know you're on the call. I'm not sure if Rosa and Jenny are here. Are they here,
I
Rachel?
don't think they can make it. They've both had typical childcare things come up, so they're looking forward to the recording. Oh, Rosa's here. Yep, cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, it's not actually necessary that you're here, but if you want to join in, we can have a little bit of a chat as we go through. So I shall start with Carolyn.
And I'll just pop in here and just say, any questions, guys, pop them into the chat as they come on, as they come up, and we can go over them at the end.
Awesome. Now this is a bit, I'm just going to see if I can, I don't know why that's quite so zoomed in. Yes, technical issues over here. So Carolyn, this is Carolyn Cox. So she's a sustainable business advisor, lots of experience. And one thing Carolyn does brilliantly on her page is she really gives, I should actually say you, Carolyn, since you're here on the call, you really give your credentials and that sense of credibility through your page. So you talk about your experience working with businesses in the public and private sector, your degrees, and your professional accreditations here as well. So that's all great. And then here you've got at the bottom examples of what you've actually achieved working with a client, which is pretty impressive. So that's all cool. I'm just going to scroll over to, if I can. Carolyn's got a little photo there. I don't know why this is so big. Minimize. There she is. There's Carolyn. This is all a bit distorted on this screen. I'm sorry. Oh, can you all see that?
See that screen. So is that because you are...
That's because I have not clipped screen share. So that would be probably quite helpful.
Okay. Yeah, that's all
Hang
right.
on.
That's all right. So it was still making sense up until now without the screen share.
Sorry.
So if you click on that bottom bar down the bottom, where
Yep.
it's got manage
And
participants screen share, it should come up with an option
let's
for
have a
you
look.
to screen share.
Aha. And I want to screen share. I'll try for this one.
It's always tricky when you're working across two screens.
It is
Oh,
weird
here we
on
go.
this.
It looks like it's, yep, here we go.
So
Now
what can you see? Can you see my notes there?
We can see your
Oh,
notes.
it's giving me the wrong.
Now we can see your tidy desktop.
There we go.
There we go.
You see that now?
Yep, good.
You got Carolyn. Okay, so let me just say that again. So here Carolyn goes through her credentials, which is all awesome, her experience working with businesses large and small, her qualifications and accreditations, and down the bottom, the awesome results she's achieved with Unitech. So we can put all these links in a little bit later so you guys can see this. I won't get you to read through it now, but what I'll do is talk through the changes that I would recommend for you, Carolyn. So the first, I actually have a question for you first though. When I was reading this, I wasn't quite sure whether your customers were people who are, generally speaking, really environmentally focused and passionate about the environment, or whether they're likely to be businesses who are kind of told that they need to get a sustainability program in place, but don't really know anything about it. If you're there, Carolyn, can you unmute yourself? And
Oh yeah, I'll unmute you, Carolyn. Okay, you're unmuted, Carolyn.
Oh, hi. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. I guess it's a mixture. Often it's big business that have been getting queries from customers or suppliers, and they know they've got to do something and they haven't done anything, or they've done a bit ad hoc. But sometimes it can be just business owners that are quite passionate. They just want to get started and need some guidance. So
right.
Usually people that they want to do the right thing but don't know quite how to go about doing it, or just haven't got around to it.
So would it be fair to say that there's quite an education component to your work in terms of letting people know really what sustainable business is all about and then how to go about it?
Yeah, I do a lot of work on staff induction and training, and we do a whole process which is called where we go out and do surveys with staff within companies as well. So the whole process is communications and education focused, a lot of it.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so what I recommend for every page on your site, not just your about page, but your homepage, your services page, everything, is to start with a hook, which is a journalist's term, which is really about how am I going to get people's eyes on this page and get them to know that it's for them, get them interested, and get them to read on more. So before you introduce yourself, I like to put a hook right up here, which would be something, it could be a quote in an environmental practice like this. A quote could be quite a good one, something that catches their attention. It could be a statement about the power of sustainability in business, because I guess if you think about your clients, a lot of them would be motivated by, well, what would they be? You might be able to answer this question. Of course, you're all better than me, but it's going to be about sustainability being good for business at the end of the day.
So it's reputation.
Reputation, yeah. So being seen to be responsible, ethical, doing the right thing. So something at the top, a strong statement about what good sustainability practices can do for your business, or why you need it, would be really good. So it's speaking to that motivation about why they should care about sustainability in your business.
When you say, Christine, that you could have a quote, could that be a part of a testimonial? Or would you better to leave?
Yeah, it could be. I hadn't thought of that. I mean, when I said quote, I was thinking more like, somebody well known.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that part of the client testimonial that really manages, if you happen to have one that really manages to nail both what you do and both what you have done for their company. And
I think that's actually a really good idea. Let's, for argument's sake, sustainability. Working with Carolyn on our sustainability has increased our blah 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 by X% would be brilliant.
Yeah.
But then if you do that, you then still have to move. Well, not still have to, but I would still recommend moving into what it can do for this customer reading the site here.
Yeah.
So you need sustainability practices. there are simple ways you can adjust the way you do business to make this impact, something like that. So there are a lot of different ways you can do it, but I guess think about what is driving them to investigate your company and do business with you, and put a strong statement at the top that entices them that, yes, this is what I need and I want to read more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really good. Thank you.
Cool. And sometimes it's a question. A question can be a good one as well.
Yeah.
So have you, did you know that? Or business, something to the effect that business these days needs to be considering sustainability practices for this reason. So you're inviting them in and inviting them to be part of this, what it is that you're working towards.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, and that's for everybody. Come up with some statement at the top that articulates what your business is all about and why people should want to know more. And if it doesn't appeal to them, then they'll click away, and that's okay because they're not your customer. But if they are your customer, they should read that and go, yes, I want to know more about this. That's what we're aiming for, because you've got to keep people reading through your page. So hook them in with that at the beginning. And that comes before you introduce yourself. So what you're doing is you're highlighting, this is why you're here, this is the problem, this is what we're all about, and then move in to who you are. Now, one thing Carolyn's done that is great is she's actually said her name, and that might sound kind of funny, but you'd be surprised how many about pages I see where people don't do that. And it's that journey thing again. So if they're not coming to your homepage first, they don't necessarily know who you are. Or in Carolyn's case, her business is Green Business HQ. So she's not trading under her name, she's got a business name. So putting her full name on the page is really important. So now, this is where you talk about why you're the person to help them, or why you are the company that they should do business with. So Carolyn's done a great job here with her credentials, very impressive, and her experience. But I would also like to know about your why, Carolyn, like how you came to be in this industry, why you care about sustainable business practices, or what you've seen over the course of this 20 years in business that's made you really passionate about taking it to other businesses. So it's that drive and that sort of verve, that passion and commitment to your business that helps people engage with you as an individual, and just feel that sort of depth behind your work.
Yeah, sure.
And I think this is especially important when we are solo operators or have a small team with one person essentially at the head of it. It's to actually, your commitment and passion really helps people feel like they know you. Yeah. And then this is all great. Your degrees, it's all really important. I'd also, with the Unitech, this looks awesome, but as an outsider, I don't necessarily know what this stuff means.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to see here is a little bit of more of a story.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you started the program from scratch with them, or just giving some context as to how you've gone from to take them to this level would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Or it could be, want to know what you can achieve through sustainability. Over the last 4 years, I've taken my client Unitech from this to this, and they've won all these awards. Whoa, why have I lost that there? Oh, remind me later.
Christine, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
There's a lot of text and copy that's going into this. So should you split your page up with headings, or use headings for different types of sections on your about page, or just sort of separate it using space between areas and that kind of thing?
Yes, space is really important, and if you have headings or visuals, graphics and things that you can use, that's really good as well. Definitely break up the text, because it's hard to read a whole lot of long text. You want people to be able to skim through it. So for example, the Unitech stuff, I'm just going to screen share again. I had to come out so I could get back to that website. With the Unitech stuff, that might be something not everybody wants to read, but some people will really want to know about it. And actually what you might even want to do with that, Carolyn, is to take that to a bigger case study on your blog. Oh, where can I see that?
Yeah, read more about this here or something.
To read about the awesome results I achieved with Unitech, click here and then go into real detail, because that will take those that really want to know And that might really appeal to, say, the bigger corporates that need to be able to take to their bosses or the people that pay, that approve the budget to show that you've worked with big companies. So that might really appeal to them. It might not be necessary for the smaller guys. So with those kind of results, I would definitely be having a case study somewhere on your site to talk about that. Can you all see my screen again now?
Yep.
Yeah, very Mickey Mouse today. So yeah, breaking it up with text and headings is really important, even if it's just bold certain parts of the text or a graphic box. Another thing I recommend for about pages is to have somewhere a link to your opt-in if you have one, and that you can do that sort of in the middle here with a box, to download my free report, enter an email address here or whatever, and that can be a nice visual sort of graphic element to break up the text. And then what I'd also like to see at the bottom here is just tell me how I can work with you. So I had a look at your site and you've got a range of options from diagnosis through to full project management. So just a sentence here that says I offer everything from this to this would be really great. And then invite them to book an appointment or whatever it is the next step for your clients. Make a phone call, whatever it is. Have that as the last thing. Click here to get in touch or book an appointment or whatever it is. What would you typically get them to do, Carolyn?
Depends on the size of the client. Usually I would meet with them first for a bigger client.
Yeah. So usually they'd call, would they?
It's a mixture of call or email. Most of the time it's people that I already know that I'm getting work through. So but I'm moving into doing this full time, so I need to get this to work for me as well.
Yeah. So I would just have something like click here to drop me an email or contact me by telephone and arrange a time to talk about your project, something like that, and just have a link to your contact page. Yeah. And then the final thing I recommend is about photos. This is a lovely, you look friendly and approachable, but I'd love to see you in context too. So whether that's you in a boardroom making a presentation or you in your hard hat and high heels out on site. A couple of photos of you out doing the work would be really great.
Yeah, sure.
And I think given your clients, the sort of boardroom aspect of it is important too.
Yeah.
Or working with a client. I mean, it can be a setup shot. It doesn't have to be actually a real presentation, but just something that shows you operating in those different environments.
Yeah, I can arrange that, I'm sure.
Cool. Do you have any questions?
No, that's really good. I guess I've just whacked stuff out of my CV onto the thing. So I didn't really think about how to do it. It was just my best quick effort. So having a structure to work to those things that hopefully I can achieve. So that's really, really helpful. I appreciate it.
I think so many people are the same, Carolyn, and it's like, there's so much effort to go towards putting a website up and just getting it up there that this is kind of something that comes further down the line. But you think about, I just think about the difference between reading what you've got now and putting those suggestions in place from Kristen saying how much difference that's going to make to customers reading your site. It's massive, huge. That's
really
exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, and your clients being sort of B2B clients, slightly more formal page is probably right for you anyway. So what you've got here is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with what you've got here, and plenty of websites would just be happy with that. And a lot of businesses are going to want to see your credentials. So all this stuff is really important for you. It's not always important for everybody. But it's just about amplifying the power of that really, and showing them how you can really make an impact in their business. Because often I think in that corporate sense, it is somebody who's tasked with going and finding a sustainability consultant and then bringing it back and getting it approved. And so the more you can make their job easy in terms of telling them how it's going to work or how the impact it could make in their business, then the easier it is for them to do that. We all like to do business with people when it's really easy and they make us look good, right?
Christine, Tara's just popped a question into the chat room as well. Have you got some tips to get those contextual photos when you work in an industry that requires confidentiality? For example, she's a life coach. How can I get authentic contextual shots when I can't really take photos of me working? would I stage them?
Yeah. So not in my current branding, but in my previous branding, I just got a friend to meet me at a coffee shop, and a photographer shot her from behind. So you couldn't see her face, but you could see me doing a consult with somebody.
The other thing that you could do is ask your current existing clients, or one of your clients who you work well with, who you think might be happy to do it, to come and take some shots with you, because some people would be happy to do it. I know I've got a couple of people who would be happy to be in photos for me, so you never know. There's no harm in asking people that you do work with to be involved in it.
And like I say, you can shoot them without their faces being visible, so it's just it's more about you actually. So you want to see you, and I don't know if you can see me right now, you want to see you in shot, but the other person being on the other side of the table or across the table is fine. I think Fiona, for her branding photos, had some people she works with come and sit in a meeting and have those taken too, so that's fine to do that. And then other contextual shots, so I like to have shots in your office. So for example, if you're going to have a consult with me, you see me like this on screen in my office, so getting some shots of you at your desk, so that they see what they're going to see when you are on Skype is good. You can also have shots of things on your desk that are meaningful to you. So if you're a life coach, and I'm just going to pluck for argument's sake, that say you like Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay and Marianne Williamson or Brené Brown, a stack of their books on your desk with some pencils and flowers or whatever is meaningful to you, that also adds context and says a little bit about what's behind your work. Or if your vision board is a big thing, have your vision board sort of in the background, can be blurred out so people can't see it, but just bring in those elements of what is important in your work somewhere in those contextual shots.
Awesome.
Angel cards, anything that you might use, just have those spread out behind you or on the desk. So I have some of the shots on my website are just my desk or things on a table that say a little bit about my work. I think I've got some glass hearts in there that were a wedding present, but they're also, my tagline is right to the heart of your business. So I've got those along with my journals and other things.
Carolyn just said she's got a great stack of books that she could use, so that's awesome.
Awesome, cool. Sorry, I can't see them.
You can also tell people, I guess, through using those books how you're going to be adding value, I guess, because if they're kind of books that make you look, they're books that show that you're reading about being a professional in your industry, or they just teach people that you've got knowledge from reading and learning that they kind of want to have, but probably can't be bothered reading those books themselves.
Yeah, there is that too. And also, if I do know that I like Brené Brown and I see that you've got Brené Brown on the desk, then that helps me connect with you already. Like, oh yeah, I'm into that. We've got a shared interest.
Yes, I love that. Yeah.
Okay, So Jenny from Uku Chic. So Jenny makes funky, fabulous kids' clothes and home decor. In fact, that is actually the first thing I was going to recommend for you, Jenny, just to reword this slightly, because at the moment we've got fun, funky, fabulous clothes for kids and home decor. I would just switch that so it says fun, funky, fabulous kids' clothes and home decor, because by doing that, the fun, funky, fabulous applies to both the kids' clothes and the home decor, because at the moment it just applies to the clothes for kids. That makes sense. So here's Jenny's page. So this is just short at the moment. We haven't got a photo of Jenny, which is one thing I wanted to say first, is let's get some photos of you up there. And again, photos in context. Jenny hand makes her things, so I'd love to see photos of you in the studio, even photos of your hands at work or the fabrics that you're selecting from. We definitely need you in there.
Christine, I still, sorry to interrupt, I still get quite a few times from people. I find, like, I'm happy because I'm so happy to do it. I find I can understand people not wanting to do it, but I know there are still people out there that don't want to put their photos online. So if Jenny was one of those people who doesn't want to put their photo online, perhaps doesn't use their profile photo on their profile picture, that kind of thing, would you just recommend leaning on those other tools that you've already spoken about?
Yeah, the contextual shots.
Yeah.
I think when you are making handmade things, do challenge yourself to see if you can put your photo up, because it is the meet the maker kind of a thing, and that's where people get that connection with handmade goods. That's the difference between shopping in a big store and shopping with someone who's made it themselves. But if you really, really can't put your photo up there, then again, get the photo taken from behind of you just with your hands at work. Just give us that sense of handmade and craftsmanship, because that's what you want to. It evokes a feeling in the customer, seeing something that's been crafted with care and love. And so if you can't put your face in it, then at least show your hands doing it, so we get there.
Yeah. And also, I remember reading the other day, one of the big differences is sometimes people think, well, big companies don't do that. So, you know, it's not, you know, if big companies aren't doing it, then why do I need to do it? But the thing is, big companies have big marketing budgets. Their tactics and strategies for marketing and advertising are so much different to what you need to do as a small business. So your strength as a small business is the fact that you are a small business, and that is part of the core reason why people are going to want to use you over a big company. So, you know, to push that kind of personal aspect is a strength and an opportunity for small business owners. Whereas if you're kind of thinking, well, I can keep it less personal by not having photos, or trying to go for kind of a bigger business look with my brand, sometimes that just places you in this kind of in-betweeny spot where you're a small business trying to be big business, and it doesn't gel to the reader or the viewer. So it is really, really important as a small business to play on that strength of ours, that we are small businesses, because people want to support small business.
Absolutely, Rachel. I couldn't agree more. And I think what people are really craving is connection and an experience when they're purchasing. So, you know, you can go to Farmers and you can buy kids' clothes online. And Farmers doesn't need to build any trust with me, because they've been around in New Zealand for what, I don't know, 60, 80 years. So I don't mind handing my credit card details over to Farmers for a start. But also, I'm not looking for anything more than a transaction. Whereas when I'm buying something handmade, I'm looking for that feel-good factor. I'm wanting to see something crafted with love, so I kind of want to know who's behind it. And yeah, I think there are a lot of, particularly mums who love to support other mums, but people do like to support small business in New Zealand, and to see that there's a family, you know, it's a family that they're helping out when they make this purchase. So I think it is completely different for big brands. And I think that it's funny, I used to say sort of 15 years ago, you know, who'd have a butcher shop now, because everybody's just going to, you know, Pack and Save and mega supermarkets. And then now it's those artisan small shops that have totally come back into vogue. And that's what people want, is that friendly butcher selling quality products, selling, you know, who knows the community. And it's the same in the online space. I think that people love to do business with someone where they feel that connection, and the experience being the warmth and the great feelings and the sort of, you know, the delight when you get that parcel that's come hand wrapped instead of in a farmer's bag with a label stuck on the top, you know? So yeah, definitely play on that strength. And if you really can't put your face to it, then, you know, show yourself, your arm, your hand, back of your head, whatever it is, your front gate, or you may not want to do that, but something about where you're making the clothes and how you're making the clothes to create that warm, fuzzy feeling in the consumer. So anything else, Rachel, before?
No, it's all good.
Yep, great. So one thing I would recommend here is actually that text is a little bit hard to read. So I'd be making that darker, black maybe rather than grey, if you can. You've got lots of white space, so that's good. Again, we need something at the top that's a little bit of a hook before we move into talking about who you are. So I think when I looked through your site, I was talking about, you know, clothes that are fun yet functional. So I'd be writing something at the top about kids need to play, but they also love fun clothes or something. They want, you know, you believe in letting kids get their hand dirty, but also wearing things that they love that are bright and fun and playful, or something along those lines. Childhood is short, let them have fun and play. That's the feeling I think that you want to evoke in your readers. And then, so yeah, it's really telling me why I'd love your clothes. And the why I would love your clothes is because they're fun and bright and kidsy, but they're also functional. And it doesn't matter if they get messy and dirty and make mud pies. So that's the idea there, I think. And then introducing yourself. So when we're telling a story or talking about, you know, about you personally, what you want to be doing is sharing elements of your background, of your story, that show your customer how you help them. So I'd love to know something about why you created this business, what it is that inspired you, your love for creativity or bright fabrics, or maybe it was seeing your children not being able to get dirty in the clothes they're wearing. I don't know what your motivation was to start it, but share something about your love, your inspiration there. And then, what did I have next? Oh yeah, the name. So you've talked about you've named your business for the place you come from, Waiuku, but I want to know a bit more than that. I want you to give me some depth to that story. So Uku Chic is a cute name. It could mean all sorts of things. But if you've named it for Waiuku, what's the spirit of Waiuku for you? What's the essence of that town? And how can you relate that to your brand? So maybe it's, I don't know, gumboots outside the four square and good old-fashioned Kiwi fun and play, or something like that. Tell me about that essence of Waiuku and why it applies to your clothing. Because that just gives it some layers and a bit more of a story to the brand. So I had this recently with another website review that I did, and she said, there's no real reason behind the name. We just made it up because it sounds fun. And so we dug into that a little bit and came up with, she'd chosen this number because it was her lucky number, and this word stood for something or other else. And we were able to concoct a story around it that she didn't even really know was there, but it really just helps to give it a little bit of meaning. I think if you're going to talk about the name of the business, then you've got to give it a context behind it, so that people can feel a connection to it. So share the essence of Waiuku with us, and that will help us again sort of buy into your mission, to your desire to create this fun and functional clothing. Now then again, so you've talked here about so you say here, alongside the clothing, I envisage creating items that add a little colour and zest to your living space. I'd be a little bit stronger about that. I don't know that I'd say I envisage creating in terms of what's to come. You could just say, I love creating, and they can come, you can add them to the website as they're ready. Otherwise, this is something that gets outdated very quickly once you add things to your range. And the thing is, once you've done your about page, you will forget about it, and you probably won't come back to it for ages. So for everybody, I encourage you to avoid things like saying 6 months ago, or my kids are now 6 and 8, or I will be creating. Just try and keep it as neutral in that sense as possible, so you don't get outdated with dates and time periods. Otherwise, it quickly looks old. And so again, what I'd love to see here is, you've talked about love working with a variety of textures, colours and themes. I would be saying here, click here to check out my best-selling X, Y, and Z item. And by best-selling, I mean your most popular items, or my popular, that you've got swimming bags, something like that. So directing people to go and look at something that they can purchase. And then if you can't find what you're looking for, send me a message, we can custom make. Something about, rather than discuss your requirements, I'll be talking about we can make customized this or that. Make it sound like you're tailoring, customizing, bespoke. Just use those words that show that you're an artisan and a craftsperson. And that was it really. Just the photographs to show the love and care behind what you're doing, and you're good to go. Does anyone have any questions on that you can see, Rachel?
I do. Me, pesky Rachel has another question.
Yeah.
You touched on sort of digging into the Waiuku thing and the why behind choosing that name. It made me think about values and your company values and culture. Should you include, or how important would you say it is to include your value, actually write down your values on your about page?
I think if it depends entirely on the business. And I think if there is something that you stand strongly for, like in this case, it might be we stand for good old-fashioned fun, kids getting dirty outside, family time, handcrafted over mass-produced, or something like that, that can be really powerful. So yes, it's not essential, but it is definitely, if you've got a strong statement of values, that is something you can bring in, because that invites again your customer to buy into it.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what I've been doing recently, is obviously the community building and building culture, and working on strengthening those, and both around the We community and with Kiwi Oz. And I was thinking to put our culture, our values on our Kiwi Oz About Us page, because I think that just helps people understand more what Kiwi Oz parents and families and nannies and our staff in our office and everyone that is involved with the Kiwi Oz brand aspires to and believes in. So it's going to make it easier for people to think, I aspire and believe in that as well. Aspire to and believe in that as well. So I fit in here. this is for me.
Yeah, and with Kiwi Oz, I think that's particularly important because your approach, as I've heard you describe it, is quite different from the approach they might get with a different nanny agency. And also, it's sort of a what do I want for my kid? And you're inviting them to see that that's what they'll get with Kiwi Oz. And if it's not what they want, they'll go somewhere else. But if it is what they want, then, they definitely want to find out more.
Okay. Yeah. So when wouldn't it be applicable? What would be a business example when it wouldn't be applicable to put your values up there, do you think?
Well, I don't think it's ever not applicable. It's just really what else you have to say and what's your priority.
Yeah.
So for
some people, you might sort of cover it in your copyright as you go through the page. It might come through. So you'll be repeating yourself.
Yeah. And so sometimes it might be that you sort of share it through your story, and your story might be your qualifications. So if you've had a life experience that has led you to, so for example, someone I met the other day was a counsellor, and she'd come to that through her own cancer journey, and so she works with cancer patients. So her story is really the important part of her qualifications, and so that might be something she gives more prominence than her values, but she could equally have them too. So it's never not appropriate. Just a question of, you don't want your about page to go on forever. And so what is the thing that's best going to communicate to my customer how I help them and what I'm all about? And I think with your Kiwi Oz, because you're a bigger company, having a company ethos or values is perhaps more important, because you've got lots of people that are subscribing to that within your company. Whereas for one person, maybe it's not so necessary, but it just totally depends. Never not appropriate. Just a question of how you want to prioritize it. Cool. Okay, so we'll move on to Rosa, the chocolate tour. Is Rosa? Rosa, you're here, are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm not on video though.
Okay, cool. That's fair enough. Okay, so Rosa's company is a chocolate subscription service, which sounds rather divine. But also maybe a little, I think it is unusual in New Zealand, right? I think you're the only one. Is that right?
I'm the only one doing this. There are a couple of chocolatiers that have sort of, unusual.
Tell me what is special about yours. You were just about to say something.
So mine's curated. So I source chocolate from artisans around the country. Where chocolatiers are doing their own, they're obviously only selling their own product. So it's not as varied or innovative, I guess. So I guess this is like a journey that could last quite a while, hopefully, with my customers.
So you are the chocolate curator?
Yes.
Awesome. That's your job title. There you go.
Yeah, it's tough.
Or New Zealand's foremost chocolate connoisseur, perhaps. Bit of competition for that title, I imagine. So what Rosa, what you've done really well here is you've told your story, which is cool. There's lots of elements here in your story about your qualifications as a chocolate connoisseur. One thing I think is that because your concept is slightly unusual, and because of that thing that I talked about earlier about how people not coming to your site in a linear fashion, but maybe ending up here, having seen a Facebook ad or whatever, that you need to be explaining the concept a bit on this page as well. You do it really beautifully on your homepage. I'm just going to show you Rosa's homepage. It's gorgeous. Look, yum.
Yeah, that's a great picture.
It's beautiful, right? Who doesn't feel like chocolate right now? And even here, a curated selection of artisan chocolates delivered to your door every month. Two New Zealand's best chocolate. How do you say that? Chocolatiers without leaving home. And then how it works. So she's done a great job here. Really simple homepage. And this is really beautiful copy, Rosa. I thought this was great. But what I want to see is some of this sort of copy on your about page as well, because you've done a really great job of explaining the experience here, I think. Oh, sorry, is that just, can you still see that, guys?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, it's just bumped off. And that's what I'd like to see over on your about page. So let's go back, go here. Right, so if we go back through the structure that we talked about for the others, we need a hook here. And this is where I would love to see you talking or creating the sense of an insiders club for people who love chocolate as much as you do, right? Because it's that sort of chocolate connoisseur or obsessive who's going to really love this product, or for whom it's going to be an amazing gift. somebody who really appreciates good chocolate and also knows the horror of eating a bite of cheap chocolate. So one thing I loved from your story, made me really chuckle, was when you talked about when we go on holiday, we start with chocolatiers and then choose less important things like accommodation. I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
And so one way to create a hook is to set a scene. So it would be something like, do you find yourself hunting out chocolatiers before you even look for your accommodation? Or do you know someone who spends hours, oh, okay. So this was actually one of the things I was thinking about. Is your customer likely to be the person themselves, or is it more likely gifts?
So my ideal customer is the person themselves.
Okay.
So that I have an ongoing relationship. But I do anticipate there'll be both.
Okay. So something along the lines of, have you found yourself staring at the counter in a chocolatier for hours on end? You highlight these sorts of ideas in your own story, but describing that as the customer. Have you ever booked a holiday based solely around the chocolate providers? Forgetting about important things like accommodation. And you could have in brackets, have you, brackets, or someone you love.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So describe that little scene at the top, and then you can say, that's me. I am, it takes one to know one sort of thing. Chocolate's been one of the true loves in my life. I'd go so far as to call myself New Zealand's leading chocolate connoisseur or something like that. Something that's a bit of humour in it. Almost makes it into a competitive sport, how much you love chocolate. Because it's that real, I think it is that real obsessive or the real chocolate connoisseur who's going to be your customer. Do you agree?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's that sense of an insider's club and you being that person who's in the know. So I would describe, I'm Rosa. Chocolate's been one of the true loves of my life, and now I've formed a business around being the chocolate curator. I hunt out New Zealand's most amazing chocolatiers, do the hard work of tasting it all for you, and then put together curated chocolate selections delivered by subscription once a quarter.
Yeah. Christine, I'd also, just as a consumer myself, be interested to know, because we have chocolate and my husband only ever buys we only buy the supermarket chocolate, but we always buy the really high percentage chocolate options, and we don't eat very much of it. So we'll have a movie on or a small piece of chocolate every night. We could definitely be chocolate subscription people.
Yes.
If we were convinced that we should be buying chocolate from a subscription, quality chocolate from a subscription rather than getting it from the supermarket. What are the benefits of buying artisan chocolate over buying chocolate from the supermarket? That's what, if I was to know that the chocolate that I was being delivered was of a higher quality and why, then that might make me think, hang on, we should probably flag getting this from the supermarket and just get a subscription and have really nice chocolate. And, because that's a treat that we give ourselves over and above other things that we used to do that we don't do anymore because, we're trying to be healthy.
That's a really good point, actually, Rachel, because obviously there's a certain percentage has got great antioxidants and all those things, right, Rosa?
Yes, yep.
So that might even be a better hook, right? Because the obsessive chocolate market is probably very niche. But if the hook was to address the idea that, you care about what goes into your mouth, you care about what you're eating, and, that, so if you're going to have chocolate, you want it to be the best.
Yeah, I've got some really good stories around where it comes from, and because all of these producers have great stories, so maybe I need to weave in a little bit more of the source story and the ethics and the
education component. It's better.
Yeah.
Because I think there'd be loads of people that wouldn't even think to do a chocolate subscription because they don't know that it's better for them than just buying chocolate from the supermarket.
And also it's only once a quarter, right? So it's not like you're subscribing to something that's coming all the time. It's if you get a box and then you can make it last. Is that right, Rosa?
There are options. Monthly,
there are options.
Monthly or quarterly.
Yeah,
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so in that case, then make the hooks slightly broader in terms of wanting to have quality rather than lots of cheap chocolate, having beautiful quality chocolate. Go into that why you're the chocolate curator. and your personal love of it, and then go into what makes a so talk about how you're searching the country for the best chocolate, and then say what makes a great chocolate, and talk about these things you've just identified: the ethics, the taste, the quality of the ingredients, the attention to detail, that sort of thing. Does that sound good?
That sounds great, thank you.
And yeah, and so I would be using words like, artisan, hand selected. You really want to make it sound really sumptuous. Highlight a few of the treats. So you might say, I'm just going to make this up, but like white chocolate, lemon curd, truffles, and blah blah blah. Get the mouth watering by describing a few of the fabulous treats. I don't know if you create your boxes with a theme or if they're different each month, but explain that part too. And then invite them to make an order. Oh, and that was the other thing. Because your website is the chocolate tour, I don't think you talk about that. Again, the name. Oh, at the end you do. Here we are. I hope you'll join me on the tour. So I would be bringing that word tour, or I tour New Zealand's best chocolatiers to find the ones for you. But you can get the tour without leaving home.
Yep, that sounds good.
So that's just a branding thing to bring that through. And then again, you know what I'm going to say about photos, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'm sure that being a chocolate connoisseur, you must have photos somewhere of you in some of the world's best chocolate shops tasting their wares.
That's sort of the problem. I've mainly just got photos of the chocolate itself, not.
Well, yeah, okay.
But
It would
yeah.
be great to have you meeting some of the suppliers at some point. Like photo with, if there's, I don't know if you actually do go and meet your suppliers, but if you're next time you're on holiday booked around a chocolate shop, try and, get to chat to them, get a photo with them out the back making the chocolate in their white hats or whatever they're doing, and just show you actually out there selecting, curating the products.
Yep, cool. That's a great idea.
And then
also strikes me, Christine, that you've got a really good opportunity, Rosa, to create community around your brand. Like you could be, like I would love to see on your Instagram or even on your blog case studies of other families who've been converted chocolate curators, like this family is stamped converted into a chocolate lover or something like that, and a photo of me and Dewey on the couch with our chocolate from you, or had competitions where people are sending in photos of them eating your beautiful chocolate, or because it is, as Christine was saying, drawing people into this little club of being part of this subscription model. We're all in on this and other people aren't, and look what we're doing, look what this chocolate's bringing into our life. It's creating experiences for us. So it strikes me that it is more also, or not just about you, but also about your community of people that you're bringing together as chocolate lovers. So if I was able to look at your website and see other people like me who are eating your chocolate, or look at your Instagram and see other people like me who are doing it, that would make me also think, oh, yep, that looks like us, that I fit into that.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. Cool. Okay, any questions, Rosa?
No, that's heaps to go off. Awesome tips.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Cool. Does anyone else have any questions that they want to pop into the chat bar before we finish up? That's such awesome feedback, Christine. There's so much in there that I think is going to be useful for everyone, really. There's so much to apply there. So if no one's got any more questions, you can always follow up within the VIP group and let us know if you've got a specific question about your own about page following this. But hopefully you guys found that useful. I know I certainly did. Thank you so much, for Christine, for your time on that. I think, as I said in the beginning, it kind of just highlights how much you can do with it, and how much you can build on your story and create that wonderful community around the brand with your copy. It's awesome.
Yeah. And look, there's no hard and fast rules either, so that's why you just bring out the things that are important to reflect your story and make it your own unique page using whatever tips feel right for you.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Christine. Thanks everyone for coming along, and we'll see you in the VIP group. Bye.
Bye.